Okay, is it just me, or has car design gotten rather samey? No, not bad. It's not like we're in a dystopia where every car looks the exact same and that no one is really trying anymore, but depending on how you look at it, yeah, it kind of feels the same. A barrage of eggs on wheels, and I'm not talking about your everyday Toyotas or Fords. Every new supercar today feels the exact same with the exact same intention. Did anyone with these insanely budgeted companies ever think to make something that's different? Something that's timeless? Something that decades later will become a YouTube trending tab darling? Why don't we make cars like this anymore? In the 1970s, the son of a GM executive set out to do something he'd always dreamed of. To make a state-of-the-art fighter jet, but for the road. Something that would absolutely blow the doors off its Italian rivals and put America on the supercar map. And in 1971, the first car by Vector Aeromotive was born. The aptly named Vector, which would go on to become the W2.
Chris Ardle-Guinness takes to the road in the Vector.
While it's not the car I'm trying to focus on, as the real star of the show is coming up very soon, this car did lay the groundwork for the successor. A lightweight fighter jet inspired design with a twin-turbo 350 small block Chevy, which helped theoretically propel this car past 230 miles per hour. But no magazine that tested it could attempt it. However, that doesn't mean that it wasn't drivable. Oh, no. This thing apparently logged 100,000 miles while touring the US in the attempt of looking for sponsor, which is the longest that any concept car has ever driven. After that car's successful US tour, development really kicked into high gear to get this car in the market. And when I mean high gear, I mean after years, and I mean years of work, we finally had a production version of W2 ready to enter the ring. And during this time, we had some new, really good entrants into this supercar Royal Rumble. Honda's been working on a high-end sports car that could not only outrun a Ferrari, but beat them in reliability and value, even with the help of their longtime design friend Pininfarina at the helm of the design.
Because when we entered Formula One racing, we wanted more than just a trophy to show for it.
Porsche created a car so advanced it nearly bankrupted the company with the 959. And a small skunk works out of Germany called Roof made an even better 911 than Porsche called the CTR, or as fans call it, the Yellowbird. If Vector really wanted to turn heads, they needed to come out swinging. Did they? Let's find out. Hit it!
The vehicle has a tilt wheel with a large airbag, all aircraft circuit breakers. The panel is machined out of solid billet the way it is in a military fighter aircraft. Every one of these push buttons in the dash are right out of the cockpit of an F-117. Same vendor, same supplier, same mil-spec numbers. All of the human engineering is right where your finger can reach everything.
Well, here it is. And I gotta say, this is quite the looker. Nothing else from this era really encapsulates the vibe of the 80s quite like this. A wedge shape combined with wide and girthy fender flares and a meaty rear wing. A semi-aluminum monocoque that was epoxy bonded with 5,000 individual aircraft specification rivets. The term aerospace engineering wasn't thrown around lightly at Vector. They were serious. All of this with a pretty big step up from a small block Chevy. A Rodex 6-liter V8 with plenty of forged and stainless steel internals and 2 Garrett turbochargers helped pump out a lot more power.
Cubic inches, and the engines get dyno tested to over 600 horsepower. On numerous occasions we've dyno tested all the way up to like 730 horsepower. They put out that horsepower at about 5,700 RPM, and at 4,800 RPM they put out about 720 foot-pounds of torque.
All of this made it to the most controversial part of the powertrain, a 3-speed turbo Hydromatic 425, and it was used in a GMC motorhome back in the 80s? Wait, is that right? Well, the idea was if it could handle towing a land yacht of a vehicle like a motorhome, then it can handle the massive amounts of power and torque while also having to shift less. Having only a 3-speed versus a 6-speed or a 5-speed, you're having to shift less, and that means getting off the power less. Well, it's safe to say that all of this did lead to some impressive numbers for the time. 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, which matched the roof CTR, but the fact that this thing could still beat the Ferrari F40 and the Porsche 959 by an extra 17 miles per hour top end is really impressive for a car from America at the time. This wasn't from what Vector said, but by what Road and Track said. It's pretty damn impressive for a car that was made from scratch by a brand that was pretty much invisible to most of the time. I could go on about the sequel to this car, the M12, but I won't, because it's crap.
Yes, but then the whole thing was cooked by a man who learned everything there is to know about quality control in a Bulgarian power station. This door doesn't fit properly, and every time you go near this vent, it falls into the dashboard. And would you just look at that headlamp assembly? Looks like it was done by my dog. You see, if all goes according to plan, it'll be launched in Britain soon, costing, I'm led to believe, £100,000. Now that is Ferrari 355 money. So, this or the Ferrari, which is it to be? Well, I guess if you've got forearms like giant redwoods, the stamina of a gazelle, your own personal racetrack, and a burning desire to be different, you should still have the Ferrari.
But the primary point I'm trying to get to is that I really miss when supercars and hypercars carried this sense of myth and drama to them. Something where when you saw it, you knew you wouldn't see it again. And that's what I miss from supercars today. Now, I may not be the target audience for this, but growing up, cars like the Vector really inspired me. Don't go out and just set numbers and then wait until the next car comes out to set better numbers. We're not talking about smartphones here. Make something that transcends its original purpose of transportation. Make something that stands out and jogs your imagination. Better idea. How about all these hypercar and supercar manufacturers just be like Apollo? Apollo is a German-Italian supercar manufacturer that made the Apollo Intensa Emozione. And I won't tell you about what powers it, or how it's made, or what it costs, because none of it matters. Look at this thing. If this doesn't get your motor running, I don't know what will. Jiawen Wang penned this thing, he's a designer, and if you were listening right now, Wang, please take a bow.